Guys, we have a very important video session today because I am going through something pretty dark. In fact, even the word dark is troublesome to me because I found out someone close to me was involved in the poisoning of my dog years ago, probably seven more years ago. I didn't realize this, but I knew there was someone that witnessed, someone that was there who didn't stop it, who probably wanted to stop it, but he felt threatened by the person too, because this person was a psychopath. Showed up to feed my dog dark chocolate, and even that day, the person had hinted to me, he was like, you need to, your dog's in trouble or something, and he said that he fed him chocolate. I looked and I thought, my dog will be all right. It was milk. I thought maybe it was milk chocolate. I didn't even realize how poisonous what he gave to my dog was. And I remember that I envisioned that day now again, and it brought me a lot of sad, because this happened in the last 24 hours that I realized what this guy had done, because I thought back at different events where people hinted to me that my dog's death wasn't quite an accident. It didn't make sense, really. And finally it clicked, because of the fact that that person was still in my life, and he was still doing dark things. He was actually trying to convince me to kill myself, actually. This is a person that had quite the front of being a good person, and I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed, because I didn't do anything to him directly, but he sort of attached himself to some sort of movement against me, because in the same movement, in this area that I am, there's some people that were out to get me, basically, and I didn't know that, and I was a bit blind to it. And that's the real reason why I'm talking to you guys today, is because I was a bit blind. I was a bit distracted by this stuff happening to me. And even then, when my dog was poisoned by one of my best friends, and best friend from my soccer team, probably, I would say, when I was growing up, I couldn't believe it. I still have trouble believing it. I was telling other people about it. They have trouble believing it. They had trouble believing the fact that I had opened up to the guy about how, after I was poisoned, I just like my dog, I was actually poisoned and laced with PCP. For some reason, it makes sense. This is probably one of the easiest ways to get away with poisoning people, was to make it seem like it's nothing, to make it seem like it's an accident. Oh, I didn't know. This guy that shows up in a car bringing over dark chocolate to pick me up doesn't even come in my house and feeds the dog dark chocolate outside my house before we get in the car. He had no reason to even get out of the car to see my dog. Talking about a psycho, attaching himself to a movement, somewhat of a cult in this area, and he must have been somewhat of like a guinea pig for the, I think there's this groupthink, and he was very involved in not really being an individual and just taking on how the group felt. The group felt like they wanted to have some revenge on me, so he was like, okay, I'm going to join in. I'm going to do this because that's what the group thought, and he wanted approval. This is a man that was lost and wanted approval so bad that he was willing to do something crazy like that. And that's what happens with a lot of these gangs, is that people will convince weaker people to be part of the gang, and even threaten them, and get them to do things for them. I imagine something like that happened. I know that the person that witnessed it, I believe, was threatened and unable to actually tell me what happened. And so this obviously affects me, but I'm in the mindset where I've had a lot of bad things happen to me, and I've built up a way of dealing with them and processing with them, and really processing what's going on, and really actually taking the responsibility for my mind. But I want to come back to this, because this is the main point, and really should honestly be the title of this video, is that you have to watch out for people that operate out of fronts, a mask. They're not actually in that mask. They might be it doesn't matter what they're doing. They could be a Christian in a church, and they have this good mask of being a good person, and people probably won't even believe that I'm telling you this, that this person is capable of that, because he's operating out of this mask and doing dark things, and while he's, feels as though people aren't going to notice. And eventually, there's other people around me that knew about this that didn't tell me. I had to figure out for myself. So, yeah, it's tough, but I'm actually glad that they let me figure it out myself, because it gave me a lot of time to figure it out, instead of realizing like right after the dog had passed. And I can even be more descriptive, because I think people don't even really understand what happened. And so beyond that, I don't know, days later, maybe within a week later, there were seizures, multiple seizures. One of the seizures, I think one of the seizures happened and I was not around, and I don't think anyone was around to see what happened to the dog. They just found poop, because they were, going through this process to get these things out of the system but I think my dog's system was really effed up from this. I don't know how much I believe he fed a large amount of dark chocolate too, because I don't think this was just a small amount. Even though it was a small dog, even a small amount will really affect your dog. But I woke up one morning and the dog was spinning out of control, spinning on the ground. I went over, I tried to help the dog. The dog's shitting, the dog's spinning, turning over and over and again, just constantly trying to spin. I'm trying to stop the dog. It won't stop spinning. It felt like forever. And I held my dog in my arms. And I didn't know if she was going to die right there. Because her eyes were still. I had stopped spinning, her eyes were still, and she just kind of looked off. She didn't even notice I was there, for a while. It took a long time. I think it took about another 15 minutes for the dog to kind of wake out from this daze and actually even turn around and acknowledge that it was actually even awake. I was happy that the dog was alive. I thought maybe, it was just going to be it. Seizures kept having. We had to euthanize the dog. But these people wanted something tangible, It was like something was going on in their head, and they felt like I disrupted some sort of love that they had. I don't know if it was for me and I got in the way of it. Maybe it was they felt like they lost their connection with God, some sort of disconnection there, and they thought I was responsible for it. And so they wanted something tangible to take, and that was one of the first things that they took. And I mean, it absolutely destroyed me. Even when I didn't know what was happening, it came out of nowhere. I did not expect, my dog's passing at all. And like I said before, I would not have even expected then that he would have done that on purpose. I probably would have thought it was an accident until, fast forward, we're here now, almost a decade later, and the guy's still in that process, and he's trying to torment me into, committing suicide again. Now, there was no direct forms of, there was actually, there was another person that was religious, part of a religious family that I had went out to Columbus, Ohio with, and the daughter of the religious family, she told me that this is during my psychosis. I had a psychosis. Give you a little bit more of a backstory. I had a psychosis, and that was directly from a poisoning, a lacing of marijuana, PCP, that I spent at least a month, my psychosis was about 3 months and 10 days, roughly, give or take a day or two. But there was 2 poisonings, I believe. This is another new development that I thought about. I've thought about. I don't live in the past, but I think about these events, and I'm still comfortable and I'm relaxed about it. I've accepted these things, But I thought about the events, and after the first poisoning, I went to a Steelers game, and a man gave me, one of the people that was kind of friends with that group that poisoned me the first time, gave me a cigarette. And after smoking the cigarette, I started vomiting. And when I was inside the Steeler game, I passed out for a bit inside the Steeler game. I think that was the second time they drugged me with PCP. And in my psychosis, I thought, oh, these people, there must have been an accident the first time. That sort of second time, I believe, is strengthened. I was actually, I think, okay at the time. And I think that strengthened the return of my psychosis. But to me, it seems like it was throughout, because there was things going on. It felt like that whole 3 months and 10 days was a psychosis. But this pattern, I mean, this is a pattern was happening, and it wasn't enough to kill my dog. It wasn't enough to poison me the first time. It wasn't enough to poison me the second time. They really wanted me dead. And it was more than just, because there's people that are going to be around you in life that want to suck energy out of you. And then there's people that actually are willing to poison you and kill you. And it's really tough to even decipher who those people are. It's extremely difficult, really. They're the type of people that, like I said earlier, are looking to be they just want to be part of something. They don't even care what it is, apparently. They want to feel like they're on some sort of path. They don't know, and people are giving them basically a script, like, hey, do this, do this, do this. Forget about all your morals and what kind of person you were before. Take this script. Forget about being an individual and making the decision yourself to not poison a dog or poison a person. Take the script, and we're going to give you some money afterwards, basically. That's basically my theory of how it goes down. But obviously none of this is 99% sure, but it's very, very hard to not believe whenever you've seen the things that I've seen, and the way that people basically even destroy their own integrity, and project things on you whenever it's them that they're also doing egregious weird things. I had this guy in particular that poisoned my dog. How many times this guy told me I was a horrible person, all the time. Wanted me to live in a trauma, and wanted me to even be blamed for the poisoning of my dog. People wanted to say it was my fault that the dog got poisoned, whenever it was really their way of processing their existence that really got in the way. And now this is where I am now, where I'm processing my existence in a way better way than I was after my psychosis. And I'm able to handle this stuff. I'm able to handle that I had this deep love for my dog, and I'm a paraplegic now. I had a deep love for the abilities that I had, that I could do on my own 2 feet. And they needed something tangible. They needed to do worse than me than I did, as they created this narrative in their mind. So, these people that I didn't even affect directly were willing to jump on board, take the script, and basically do egregious acts for money. Forget about the morals. And also, I think there was a subtle, basically pushing of a cult-like agenda that to devalue me as a person, and even my family. They were willing to do the same stuff to me that would affect my family tremendously. And so there was just a devaluing of a human being, of an animal, and it's really chaotic how it wasn't even an eye for an eye type thing. I've had the same things that I've bullied people before. I have the same things that happened to me happen to those people. People that I've affected. I've had really dark things happen to me. And I've never done anything that wasn't even an eye for an eye type thing. I haven't gone out and done, and even whenever I feel like I get that kind of urge, Today I had this kind of urge where there was like a little bit of a rage inside me. I didn't yell, I didn't do anything. I actually just banged out four sets of pull-ups. And so it was like, where are you gonna put your attention now? And that's what I've been doing. Is literally a day after I figured out, I'm putting my intention towards my passions. And these people back then had so much time to put their energy towards their passions, but instead they created something dark that I guess you could say this was their passion, which is a really dark thing to think too, is that that's what they established to be their passion. And it's crazy, and it was not an eye for an eye. I mean, the things that they were willing to do to me, I would never imagine doing to anybody. I would never imagine poisoning somebody's dog either, even though, I do think, I think of as like animal creatures a little bit more equally than I think a lot of other people, but I know that it would mean a lot more to me if I lost my mother than my dog. But there's still that love for the dog, and it was a beloved animal to a lot of people. I think a lot of people were really hurt. I think they're going to discover now exactly what type of thing is fundamentally happening in people's minds to cause them to do this. They think they sort of demonize, make an enemy of somebody because of something that's going in their mind. And that's a one-way street right now, because I am not making an enemy of this person. I told him, just like I had already broken up, like basically parted ways with this person after the way he was talking to me. I didn't even think about what he actually did to me years ago. And so, I'm sorry, getting a little bit lost in this, but I parted ways with him, and I'm relatively getting over this pretty quickly. So I know it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I'm still in the process of doing it, but I went into doing the things that I was passionate about. I talked about that a second ago. I freestyle rapped about it. This topic that is literally, it's frustrating me. I adding my creative spin on things to just bring let my mind, help me process this in a way that I can create. And this is what this video is for you guys too, is that it's not about me. And now I finally remember what I was trying to get to. It's not about me, but it is not about my love for the dog, because it is, yes, it was a significant loss for me at the time. Right now, it's a significant feeling that I get knowing that somebody that I loved, and in a way I still love, but doesn't love me back. He, from what I've seen, so. But what I'm saying is that there is this idea of significance, and people will attach themselves to even themselves and what the experience is, and say, well, I'm a powerful person, I'm a significant person, I need to retaliate. And that's what people will do. This is a war. I'm at war with you. They conjure this up, and I'm a type of person now, and I will never want to mirror that type of mindset. Now, I've discovered that I have a role. It doesn't have to be some sort of significant, world-changing role. I don't have to significantly impact people's lives negatively. I can do my best to impact them positively, and help people understand how to be an individual again. Stop just taking the script that you're given, and be real, and that's what people get lost from being who they are, and they try to fill in the blanks and try to accept the script and try to be a part of a movement and create some sort of position that they want to stay in, and it's like a snowball effect. I mean, my buddy that did this stuff to me, it was like he was, like the water was up to his neck, and he has nothing else to do but try to, you know, try to get me off this earth, you know? I'm a reminder of how he is so susceptible emotionally that he would do something like that. So the only way that he was willing to do is to continue that snowball of putting his energy towards hate. At this point, you know, that dynamic between me and him, he's probably not like that with other people, but that dynamic around me and what I've experienced with him now is that is who he is, you know, around me. Other people see it. Others see what he's capable of. Others can see beyond the mask. And so I am not some amazing person, you know. I've made errors in my life, lots of errors. But I do mean well, and I don't ever want to mirror the type of stuff that people are willing to do to me. I know the type of physical trauma beyond even emotional trauma that it is. I know what it's like to have paralysis and not be able to walk for around 7 years now. And I know that feeling that I get about my dog being taken to me by a friend doesn't mean that I have some sort of importance that I need to retaliate. There's no reason for me to do that. I am not and if you accept that, you become at war with your own mind and at war with yourself. And that's what happened to this person. He became at war with himself, especially now, knowing that what he actually did in the past. He probably was in somewhat of a fog, you know, just accepting orders from people, doing this stuff. Didn't know it was going to fully kill the dog or whatever. But now he has to live with the fact that he accepted this script from a false prophet, and this isn't something that this isn't an attack on religion either, by the way. This is 100% not an attack on religion. It's an attack. It's not even an attack on anything. It is an establishing of where the mindset is fundamentally to cause something like this and to disrupt it. I guess you could call that an attack on disruption of the chaos in your mind. Is taking hold of your mind and figuring out, I'm responsible for figuring out my own mind and how to get over this, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm an extremely emotional person too. I have the capabilities of extreme emotional, you know, being brought to tears from something like this. This is not something that has been easy for me, especially because of the fact that even though my dog has passed a long time ago, this recurring feeling, it feels as if she's passed again. Not quite as bad, but because there is that physical loss that, you know, it's horrible. It's horrible. But what do you do? What do you do? What am I doing? I'm pursuing my passions still. The day after figuring out, I thought, how am I going to get through my day? You know, I have a singing lesson I'm supposed to go to. I went to the singing lesson. I did phenomenal. I don't know how, and that's the way I want to be. You know, when something like this happens, when there's a loss, I want to be the person that is able to handle it, you know, able to have the mind conquered, that I can show up to a music lesson and my instructor has no idea what's going on in my mind. He has no idea that I'm having a little bit of trouble focusing because I can't help but think about, you know, I can't help but somewhat, you know, come back to that topic. And so that's another reason why we're doing this today, because I don't want to think about this topic all the time. And I'm thinking about it recently, and I think it's healthy for me to go out and talk to you guys about it. And I don't want you to go through life fearful, but I want you to understand, you know, what puts somebody down this path, it's mirroring what's going around in the group. This person that poisoned my dog, he was mirroring the same thought process the other people had. I probably wrongfully affected other people more so than this person, and he wanted to attach himself to it. This hate. He wanted to attach himself, and he wanted to do harm. He wanted to fill in that void or something like that. That fill in the emptiness that he had, not having a direction and not following his passions. Not even feeling like he's able to follow his passions, because I think he was raised, and a lot of people are raised in a very shameful they get constantly shamed in directions. Honestly, probably verbally abused into shame by narcissistic parents, and they become narcissistic themselves, not even willing to take their responsibilities sometimes, and sort of project the other person as being just horrible. I've never heard this person ever say that he was anything but a godly person. So I've never, heard of him saying that he lost faith and disconnect from something I've done. So, or something he did himself. So he hasn't owned up to the fact that he's a bad person yet. But I tell you right here, like I've told you today, I'm not the greatest person. But I won't succumb to doing things that I will not succumb to taking people's lives. I have no plans of doing that. And I have experienced, that voice in the head that wants you to start going down that path. And I silenced that. And it's up to the person to silence that. Any person can go down this road where they establish that this person or group is my enemy and I need to start going in that direction. And that's, as soon as you start going, as soon as you lose sight of what your direction, your path, your intention in life, as soon as if you have trouble establishing your own beliefs in your life, if you just take the script and that script isn't working for you to establish your beliefs, if it isn't helping you move forward and try to make the world a better place, then you need to destroy the script, whatever it is. Erase the script and start writing your own. Because I think back about, and some of these videos in the past, and I've talked about what Jesus means to me. And he was a person that wasn't given a script. Exactly. I know he probably had a lot of influences during that time, influences of Judaism, Buddhism, other religions at that time that even precursed Christianity. So he was able to take the things that he heard, and he was able to create what he thought was the best way to live your life. And he had created this amazing essence to himself, the most godly essence anyone's ever seen. Supposedly rose from the dead, did amazing things, remarkable things, because he was so tapped in and connected with a better way of living. So tapped in that even whenever people were ripping apart flesh, nailing him to the cross, that he was not going to demonize these people. He was not going to he was going to say that they did not know better. Fundamentally, these people don't know better. God, please forgive these people. And I actually do somewhat believe that God should forgive these people. And I know that's not up for me to decide. And so what I do is I just stay in my own effing lane and let things go. And I just go in the direction forward towards my passions. And I detach myself from this stuff. And that is the exact opposite of what these people were doing. They were getting very attached to this stuff. Very, very attached, to the point where they're still attached to it. They're still looking. You know, if I went out, I'm sure, if I started going out a lot, going to bars, talking to people, going out in Pittsburgh, this same type of people would start showing up, because this group of people isn't done. You know, they're looking for leverage in my life, I still think, and that's why that one person was, you know, trying to convince me to, you know, do horrible things to myself. There was a lot of people doing that. There's a lot of people trying to basically join hands in torment, and I don't think that that's over. And I've accepted that. You know, I'm going to keep going in my direction. You know, I'm not overcome with fear, but I will defend myself if necessary, and I don't have any plans of attacking anybody. And sometimes I have to reflect on myself in the way I talk to some people that were kind of involved with those other people in the past. Sometimes I reflect to myself and I'm like, I don't want to talk to this person the way that he would talk to me. He's subtly trying to torment me, you know, and so I don't want to be like that. And basically I just don't spend time with that person. I don't, no matter what it is, even if I'm playing video games with them, I don't want those people around to mirror them, because you will become who you hang around with. There's a lot of people who tell you that, not just me. And a lot of people go down that road, and they might not even be addicted to any sort of substances, but they will eventually get addicted to fitting into that mirror of another person. They want to be accepted. They will do the things that they see other people do, because the last thing that they want, and that they actually fear, is the fact that they won't be accepted. And so they'll do horrible things. It's like their safety net to do these things, so that they'll have somebody to turn to that approves of what they do, instead of just thinking internally and improving yourself and deciding that this is the right thing to do. So there's a lot of stuff here to talk about, but that being maybe one of the most important things is to lose the mask, be an individual, be able to be vulnerable and express your emotions, so that even if there's emotions here that aren't exactly, you know, completely healthy. You know, I told you about dark things that happened to myself, and I'll put it out for everybody to see, because stuff like this needs to be seen, because people need to realize that there's a lot of disguises around, and there's a lot of agendas being pushed. There's a lot of conflict all over America right now, all over the world, where people are just constantly trying to establish a position towards another person or group that is a dark intention, a very dark intention. And to me, it doesn't seem like it's not even people that are young that are doing this. It's people that are older too, that are willing to be trying to push these sort of agendas, you know, dark stuff, really dark stuff. I mean, there's been assassinations recently. It's really horrible to for any person to be assassinated for what they believe in, especially. And I'm thinking about Charlie Kirk right now. I've never heard of anything that the man said where he wanted anybody to be eliminated. I don't think he ever, because that was against his religion, you know, and he wasn't going to accept some other script that other people were giving him. He would disagree with you, but he didn't want you eliminated. He may have wanted you to follow in his religion, but his religion wasn't to eliminate people. So, and that is a tough subject. That's a very tough subject, because a lot of people feel left out of certain religions, and there's a lot of people that put up barriers to even practice religion. And if you just practice it on your own, I believe you don't need a church. You can practice your religion. You don't need any approval from anybody else, and you don't have to push any sort of movement on anybody. Just focus on what you believe in. If you can improve your essence, your spirituality, do it. Nobody, you don't have to believe what other people, the script that people are saying. And I really hate the way, I hate the word hate, but I really dislike how the political movement sort of also demonized genderless people, or people that don't want to be labeled. That was something that really shouldn't have happened. There's certain things I agree with. I don't think girls should be playing or guys should be playing in girls' sports at all. I just don't think that should be something that happens. But I don't want to get anything beyond that. But there was a lot of labeling of those people to be liberals. There's a lot of political stuff, basically trying to create a common enemy. It got really ugly. It was really ugly, this creation of a common enemy. And that's a lot different than telling jokes. There's a lot of comedians that, they tell crude jokes, but they're not telling anybody to, they're not trying to push somebody into a position to be somebody's enemy, So that was really effed up. I don't agree with that at all. And even on a spectrum that is a little bit smaller in what I'm dealing with, and what being singled out as a person versus a group, I sit here and I talk to you guys, and I've got no following. I've got no cult. It's just me. Just me and my family, as far as I know. And we our beliefs kind of are more individual beliefs, the way we're practicing our connection with God. And I try to even pass on my viewpoints towards God, towards my parents, and I say that, I haven't told my mom this, but I think it's amazing. She goes out and she plants apple trees. And I think of that as such a precious thing to do, is she wants to plant the seed of life on earth. It's such a simple thing, but that itself should be some sort of religious practice, beyond a lot of other things. But this appreciation for nature that my father has. Oh, he's so into nature. Birds, everything, animals, except for deer. The deer can stay the F off our garden, but there's this appreciation of the physical world, the trees around you. I seen my father, I think, even cry at one time, or tears came down his eyes, because he had to cut down a tree that wasn't quite dead yet. He thought it was dead. Then he realized afterward that it wasn't quite dead yet, it was still living. And he was overcome with tears about it. And so, my father, he's not going to be in the church, you're not going to see him in the church. You're not going to see my mother in the church as much anymore. You're not going to see me there either, probably. But there is this way to to listen and see beyond the lines of God's teaching, and even think about it yourself on the broad scheme of things, this macro. Positive energy, negative energy, the universe is alive. We're spiraling around the planet, spiraling around a beautiful rock in a vast outer space. And still in outer space, there's a sun providing life. There's also black holes that are taking life, as far as I know. And the same thing's happening here on Earth. And so I don't just think about that when I look up in the sky, but I think about that life in Earth, it might just be the sort of the micro way to view it, is that there's life on Earth, but what if the universe is actually alive? In totality, the entire universe is somewhat of an organism, providing human beings the ability to operate as like a conscious being to explore all of these philosophies together right now. These philosophies pull together and be the most amazing individual possible. And as far as I know, that was JC. So he pulled, and so he was, and people agreed that he was the best reflection of God. I think about Buddhists, they think about things a lot differently, but there is this still appreciation, I think, for the moment. I would love to sit down with the Buddhists and tell them the stuff that the sort of theories I have. I mean, some of these thoughts, that's not just something that I heard on the internet. I'm telling you that from me, that I think that the universe is alive. I think there was a famous Jewish philosopher that believed that the universe was alive or something like that too. Something, I don't know, or the earth being alive. But you think about it, it's creating life, it's creating, I think instead of sometimes being in a church, I think you should go outside and grab a handful of grass and just grab and just be like, and practice that appreciation for the life that the earth is giving you, the universe is giving you. It's right there, it's tangible. I might have to grab a handful right now, just rub it on my face, but see, the cup runneth over with enjoyment. I'm still, was a dark video to start out. It's a beautiful video now, it feels like. And maybe one of my best videos yet. I'm only comparing them to my other videos, not anybody else's. But that appreciation for life, appreciation of others, and I had a very religious people on in my family tree, with beautiful minds. My aunts and uncles, even cousins that are religious, beautiful minds, and they don't operate out of some sort of badly improvised script. It's pretty easy to tell what's right from wrong, as long as you can think about yourself and create your own morals established in the direction towards the betterment of humanity and the better. And honestly, this all could be spun the wrong direction by somebody that just isn't connected to life. You should not be taking other people's lives. That is just a slap in the face of God. It's not going to make the world a better place. You're becoming the exact problem, You're being the taker of life. That is the exact opposite of God. God is not the taker of life. Well, actually, in essence, maybe he is. I don't know for sure, but there is this role that I've accepted. It is insignificant. I'm on this path. I'm telling you guys how I feel. and I'm going down this direction forward, and I don't have any sort of reasoning to turn back. I'm going forward. I think there's a lot of people out in the world that I can help. I think that this video might have helped a lot of people. Who knows? But that role, it does not have to be significant. For it has to be meaningful to you. It doesn't have to be any more significant than what anybody else is doing. It's meaningful to you. That's really important. Value yourself so that you don't seek other people's approval, because their approval may mean that you need to do some dark shit. Damn it, I made it through this whole video without swearing, and I end up swearing. But there's always time for people to I believe there's always time to move forward and try to do the best you can do for other people. And that's the path that I'm on. That's what in the Buddhism they call it Dharma. That is your purpose. And so I think the best way to sign off is that I feel that we can, as a group, we can help find a way to give other people the freedom to the ability to feel free and not empty by just changing the way that we think can change the way that we feel free. And so, like Nicki Minaj says, she says, "I feel free." But there's a way that we can appreciate other people in their goofiness. Those are your true friends. Appreciate your goofiness, your silliness. They don't tell you not to do that. They try to encourage you to be yourself. But we battle this idea of approval from other people because we've been turned down so many times by other people that we try to start shaping a person that's different than who we really are. And so find that authenticity, find that freedom to be yourself. It seems hard at times now in this world, but it's there. Your ability to be free. And that shouldn't get taken away from you. It shouldn't have taken away taken away Charlie. It shouldn't have taken away a lot of ambassadors towards free speech and ambassadors of things other than controlling people. So if you can, go out and try to provide some freedom for some other people. And that's, I think, what my channel is about, is trying to be able to find your freedom even whenever you experience something that conflicts with that. To build yourself up in a way that's so structured that you just can't be crumbled. And they can take away your physical body, but they can't take away your soul. As long as you can keep moving forward in the proper way, you won't lose your soul. I think some people actually, it might be a possibility that some people actually do lose connection with their soul at times in life, and then they re-find it. And I think I almost went through an experience like that, but I don't want to get too far beyond that, guys. If you could, see if you can help other people feel free, because it can be a tough world out there. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Marshall. I'm out, guys. Take care. And if you made it this far in the video, then I love you for that, because some hard topics to get through, some sad topics, and yeah, just thank you. Thanks for watching. Bye.